Hey Church Girl, welcome to Church Girl Gang, a podcast where we get to talk about life, living for Jesus, and everything in between, and how that affects us in the here and now. My name is Kenzie, and I'll be your host, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you. Hey Church Girl, welcome back to another episode of Church Girl Gang podcast. I'm so glad that you've decided to join us for another episode. Just a reminder, my name is Kenzie and I will be your host for today. And before we get going, I wanted to talk about something a little silly today. If you are watching the video version of this podcast, then you may see my face, as you would if you're watching the video version. If you can't see the video version, my face is breaking out over here on one cheek and actually the other cheek. It's breaking out all over my face. And the truth is, I usually have great, clear skin, but time and time again, I forget that apparently I have like the most sensitive skin in the entire world. And I'll try different products on my face and forget that I have sensitive skin, and it will break out all over. And I never know what to do about it because usually my skin is very clear. So I have no idea how to handle my skin when it starts to break out. And recently, just a few days ago, I tried to get a spray tan. And as the lady began spraying my face, the thought clicked in my head that this might be bad for my skin. But it was too late, and she sprayed my face. And now, once again, it is breaking out. And all this to say, I was actually reminded of the portion of scripture where Paul says, I do what I don't want to do, and I don't do what I want to do. And so my piece of encouragement for you today is this. We are all imperfect people. We serve a perfect God. And so if today you do, like I did time and time again, something that you don't want to do, even though you have good intentions in your heart, God is there, he's perfect, and he will make up the difference for you. When we make mistakes, God is there to help us, sustain us, and fill us, and also to redeem all of our mistakes. And so I just wanted to encourage you with that today. If you feel like you keep messing up, you are not alone. We are in the same club, and God is with us. Well, with that being said, we are going to have a fantastic conversation today with my good friend, Eleena. And so why don't we jump into that conversation right now? Hey, Eleena, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that you're joining me for this podcast today. I thought before we jumped into anything, I just wanted to tell everyone where I met you, where we got to know each other. But I remember being a college student in Phoenix, 1,000 miles from my hometown, 1,000 miles from everything that I knew. And I remember my first semester of college, I had a lot of trouble. That was actually in the spring, which is really weird, but that was my first semester of college in Phoenix. So it was a weird time to show up because usually you start college in the fall. I had a really hard time connecting with people, with a church community, anything. And I remember coming back to school in the fall, and I was a little nervous that I once again would not be able to find a church community or anything like that, which I knew was going to be really important to my mental health, my spiritual health, probably my physical health too, like all the things. And I showed up to Hillsong Phoenix and I met you, and I remember pretty quickly it felt like you, I don't know, loved on me, started a relationship with me. I remember you giving me and some of my friends like a little notebook. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, I don't.
You don't? That's okay. That's okay.
Good on me for doing it.
Good on you. You gave us like a little notebook, and I think it was supposed to be a prayer journal or something like that, but it was just really.
Wait, I do remember that. It
Yeah.
was a prayer. It was a prayer. It was for prayers, right?
I thought so.
Okay. That rings a bell more than just a journal in general.
Okay. Yeah, it was just really sweet. And I think that's probably one of my earliest memories with you. And then we got to spend another almost like 2 years or something. I think I was in Phoenix hanging out, being on the same team, and making some great memories.
Yeah, that was wild. So much time.
It was wild for sure. But just that's my little introduction of you. Is there anything that you might want to share with people? Anything that we need to know about you?
Oh gosh. Well, lots has happened since. Golly, how long has it been since you've been back in like Texas? I feel like so much has happened. How much time has it been since you graduated?
I'm terrible with time and numbers. I think it was 3 years, but it feels like 20. So.
So I actually, one of the biggest things, probably my best accomplishment in life is I got married, which is crazy. Met Andrew, he's from New York, and that was pretty blindsided. I wasn't actually looking to date anybody at all, actually. But isn't that how it goes when you're like, God, I'm not going to date anybody, and then he shows up and you're like, all right, sounds good. But that's a whole other story in itself. But so I got married to Andrew. He's amazing. He actually is a part of staff for Hillsong College in Mesa. So he's one of the staff members there for the core trainers is what they call them. So got married to him in the beginning of last year. So January 1st. Well, yeah, it was at midnight of New Year's Eve last year. So we brought in the new year being married, and then got blessed with the gift of a pandemic. You know, it's one of those party favors that you didn't want at your wedding. but yeah, so it's been great. Got married to him. We actually started my wedding coordinating business, or just event planning business, in the fall of last year, which is, I feel like, the trend of everybody being at home in quarantine was, okay, what can I do and build myself? We were two of the people that ventured into that. So I have my own business called Sonder, which is, the word Sonder itself is just meaning realizing the value of passerbyers and how common each person's life is. So that's the name of the business itself. I work really closely with some of our executive pastors at Hillsong now, which is kind of crazy, with Pastor Judith and Karna Litteris. So both of them, I work closely with them for Sisterhood Communications team. Started building a team with them this past January. So that's been fun. Love that. And then, of course, part of Worship Downtown. So downtown Phoenix, the original place where all of us kind of just sprouted. And I was fairly new to church, I think, at that point too. So probably not too much further. I came in 2015 fall. So.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were there probably about a year before I showed up. But gosh, you would have never guessed it, because you fit like a glove into that community for sure. So
that's so good.
That's awesome. That's a lot that's happened since we last hung out, since we last saw each other.
Yeah.
I need to take a trip to Phoenix. Why am I not doing that? Oh, well, there was that pandemic.
Oh, yeah, that one thing.
That was the thing. That was the thing. And so crazy that you guys got married and pretty quickly. You were stuck in a house together. No,
Mm-hmm.
no leaving, no breaks, huh?
Yeah, we had sat down with a couple of friends of ours, and they had said, you guys have sifted through probably about 5 to 8 years of material in 1 year from being together that long a period of time. So yeah, it's almost like, well, thanks because I feel like maybe I'm ahead of the curve a little bit, but maybe actually it is a lot. So, but it's actually been really fun too. So it's fun.
Wow.
So good. Yeah.
Okay, so Phoenix really is like my time there is some of my most cherished memories. Seriously, I loved being in Phoenix so much. And so I thought we could maybe share if people are listening and they haven't been to Phoenix, they're not from Phoenix. I thought it would be fun to share our Phoenix top 5 together. So we'll just go back and forth and we'll share some of the best things about Phoenix. How does that sound?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. You first. Go for it.
So like location, or are we talking experience in general? What is it? What are we top 5 things?
I think it's really whatever you think. I am probably going to choose food things because I love food.
It's the way to your heart. I think it should be a love language. So I would say my husband and I just found this new place downtown Phoenix. You can't even find it on maps. Like that's how off the grid it is. But I think that's the thing that we love about living in downtown Phoenix. We actually live almost in the heart of Phoenix right now, which is awesome, in this little high rise. But it's this place where you walk in, they have gelato on one side, pasta truck on the other side. Then they have just multiple food trucks. You keep like going down the back of the house, and then there's a pizzeria, and then there's a taco place, and then there's like restrooms out of nowhere, and then which everybody needs. But and then there's like a movie thing that they have going on. So I couldn't even tell you the name of it, but because I don't even know that it probably has like some sort of overarching name for the whole thing, but it's not even on maps, but it involves food, which I love, and music, so it's super fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so mine has to be, and this may sound silly because this isn't just a Phoenix thing, but I haven't gotten to have it since I left Phoenix, which is Dutch Bros. I was a big Dutch Bros fan when I was in Phoenix, and there is not one in Texas. Well, actually, okay, I don't know if you've heard this. Well, it wouldn't be news to you, so you probably haven't heard this, but I am so pumped for this that they're actually building one of the first, I think it'll actually, by the time it's finished, there will be like one other one in Texas. But in the town that I'm in, I'm actually like in the suburbs of Austin, and they're building a Dutch Bros. It's going to be like the second in Texas ever when it's finished right here in my town.
It was just a matter of time. You just had to, wait on the Lord and be patient enough. And here he is delivering your prayers, answering them one by one.
Yeah. He's moving. He's moving in this town. He's moving in my life. Praise Jesus. If you haven't been to Dutch Bros, they serve coffee. They serve tea. Really what I love is all the different teas. They serve like these milkshake kind of things, smoothies,
Rebels,
their own energy drinks. It's wild. And really the best part is the just the experience, because when you drive up, it's a stand. It's only a drive-through, and those people, they'll just like, they're taking your order and they'll just straight up climb in your window and encourage your pants off, which is really fun. You know,
like be careful if you bring Peter with you, because they'll want you to have a puppuccino when you go through. I used to work there. I don't know if you know that, like a long time ago.
I don't think I knew that. That's funny.
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh, Dutch Bros. I know Dutch Bros. And they are very famously known for getting inside your car without your consent. So be careful.
They're really fun. Okay, what's your next Phoenix top 5?
I would have to say Futuro Coffee. Really, really good coffee. And it's down the street, so I can just walk across the street and go get it. But it's actually owned by a cousin of mine. Her and her husband own it. And it's like a mixture of, it originally started out just as a hair salon. And then it kind of accumulated into, hey, let's get coffee at the hair salon. And then it's art as well. And they have food there now. So it is a culmination of like all these different things in this little tiny little shop, but it's so beautiful and so well done. So yeah, I would say that's probably my next one. I don't know if you've ever been there, if it was here when you were here. But
yeah, I feel like yes, it's very clean inside, very white. Everything's very white, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in there. Of course, they're like for real coffee. And unfortunately, when I was going in, because I don't drink coffee, I actually can't. I have a caffeine intolerance. Yeah, I can't drink very much caffeine, and so I just go in there and sit. But it's great.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's what I used to do. I think I've actually cut back on coffee because my husband's a coffee connoisseur himself. He managed a shop in Rochester, New York when he was there, and actually has his own coffee bean business. So, I mean, even if you can't drink coffee, I can send you some so you can have your parents try it. Maybe, I don't know.
Sure, they would love that. They are coffee drinkers.
But yeah, so he has his own business too as well. He's very much an entrepreneur at heart, and his coffee is called Localist Coffee for localists everywhere. So yeah, super good stuff.
That's awesome.
I feel like I just slipped in another one in there of like top 5 because he definitely is one of those. I should have probably mentioned him first. He's not mad at me for not doing that. Oh my gosh.
It's okay. The food, it just went out. It was like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's funny. Okay, well, we're gonna link. Is there a place we can order online or something like that? Some of this.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna link that in the show notes then, so everyone can find that. That's awesome. And your business as well. We're gonna link that as well.
Awesome.
So y'all check it out. We love the entrepreneurs. Check it out. Okay, so my next Phoenix top 5 is the weather, and I say that just because when they say it's like such a joke, but they say it's a dry heat. But for real, like living in Texas where it's humid all the time, I did not realize what a blessing it was to my hair to live in dry weather. Because when I was in Phoenix, my hair did whatever I wanted it to do, and it was great. And then I came back to Texas. Literally, when you step off the plane, if you're in Phoenix and you fly into Texas, and I'm sure it's this way with some other states that are, near the ocean and stuff like that. But you step off the plane and it literally feels like you're swimming. Yeah. Like the water is so thick in the air. Anyway, I took it for granted, and now I just pray for dry days.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, I would say weather for me is the same thing because, I mean, a lot of people that move to Arizona, you always wonder, why'd you move to Arizona? And one of the reasons is because of the winters here. Like the winters here are unbelievable, just beautiful. So it almost makes up for those hot June, July, August, September creeping into October time that are just like, we're in October, really? And it's still hitting the hundreds. What's actually happening? Guys, we need to get on the same page. Like, we need to figure this out. Although it's not even our choice, right? But yeah, so I would say the weather here is, golly, I'd probably take it for granted as well. And I live here, so don't feel bad about that. But yeah, I grew up here, grew up in Arizona, was born and raised, so a Phoenician at heart. But Yeah, I always, whenever the weather's turned, I think it was last year that the whole meme came out of, oh, sweater weather,
Mhm.
oh, I'm so glad the weather's turned, because it actually does. It does. Once that heat is just gone, it's gone for a good while, and you just
Yeah.
enjoy the weather. So it's good stuff.
Yes. Ugh, it's the best. Okay, do you want to do, I'm not sure if we want to count uh your sweet husband as number 5, or if you want to share one more. Do you want to share one more?
Let's see. Oh gosh. Oh, Wonder Spaces. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I
Wonder.
have. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, Wonder Spaces. So it's in Fashion Square Mall, and I don't know how they rotate it or how they get their art or where it comes from, but it is a collection every quarter, I would say. I'm pretty sure they get it. It's a culmination of different artists all over, but
Hmm.
you go into this space and it's this experience of interactive art that you get to be around, being encapsulated by, and then interact with. Like one of the ones that we had went to was actually like you go inside this prayer box, almost like a cathedral if you were of the Catholic descent or in that religion, and you go
Uh-huh.
into the box and you do confession, like you confess something that you've never confessed to anybody ever, and then if you step out of that box, you'll see on the other side this wall, and you can take out the little notes that people have put in, and read just everybody's secrets that they've put in there and said.
Wow.
So it's like a very interactive thing, but with all the people that live in Arizona. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, I would say that's my
So did
last one.
you read some of the notes?
I did.
Was there any like anyone that was like kind of scary, like I I killed a person. Here's my confession. There wasn't anything
No,
like that.
no, there wasn't. Like I hadn't actually. I
That's
mean,
good.
there could have been, but I didn't read that one. I did read one of them that was somebody that had, I don't know, like things that might be a big, deep secret to somebody that they're holding on to. But one of them
Yeah.
with infidelity with their spouse, or just something about themselves that they've never told their spouse. Maybe it's not even infidelity, but it's like just a thing that they've never told anybody that's close to them, which is kind of crazy that they have chosen to put it out there for a
Yeah.
complete stranger to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so very, very cool. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. I can't even tell you what I ended up putting on mine because I totally forgot, but that was forever ago, like early last year sometime.
That's okay. What's said in the confession box stays
Stick
in
in
the
the
confession box.
so
Except
good.
for when it's read by
When
other
when
people
a
anonymously.
complete stranger reads it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about celebrating other girls, uplifting other girls. And the reason we're talking about this today is because there's no one I've met who does this better than Eleena. And so I'm totally serious about that. Don't doubt it, Eleena. You're the best at this. So I'm hoping that you can help us figure out how to do that better. So why do you think it's important for us to do that? And does the Bible say anything about us uplifting one another?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, first, thank you so much for choosing me and thinking me worthy to be able to talk about a topic like this, because it is, I mean, just in general to talk about any topic, I think is such an honor. But man, I would say we know ourselves, right? So we know how many times in one day, 1 hour, 1 minute that we can waste time tearing ourselves down. Um, I think that that's why it's so important to minister and prophesy and encourage the women around us, that just in general, life is just way too short and way too hard to not to do that. So
Mm.
I would say just it it almost should be a standard in general. I think we should all just agree and say life's going to be hard. Let's just choose to speak into each other's lives in a positive way, and know that a win for somebody else is a win for me if it works out. I would say that biblically, what does it say in the Bible? So, man, so I was kind of researching, like, what does this look like in the Bible? Because we know about all the different women in the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see different relationships good. You see some of them not so good. Some of the women in the Bible, being married off to the wrong guy, and some of them not being able to be with the person that they were supposed to be married to. You have relationships of people being envious of childbearing. You see good relationships in the Bible with women that are widowed and then still championing on people that are around them. So all those examples I think are great to even know just the realities of dynamic in a relationship with women.
Mm-hmm.
I think very quickly we all go to the Proverbs 31 women to kind of highlight of the woman that we're supposed to be in general. But I would say even that too, it speaks to self, right? To how do I as a person know how to be in and out with people. But it doesn't specifically talk about who, like women to women. I would say
Mm-hmm.
if I was discussing it with somebody, would probably say there's scriptures like in First Corinthians where it talks about the body of Christ, of how we're supposed to be intentionally pointing out the things and the value that each body does and plays in the body of Christ. So I would probably say that that's probably the biggest thing that you can probably just nail it down to First Corinthians inside that nugget there. But
Yeah, that's so good. I was thinking about something we could out of the Bible, just talking about encouraging one another. And I remembered, that actually one of our main scriptures that Church Girl Gang is based off of, that it's inspired by, is in Hebrews. And it says this, let us hold tightly without wavering to the hope we affirm, for God can be trusted to keep his promise. And then it says, get this, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. And for me, I think there's a few things in there that I get from this scripture. First is that it's telling us to hold tightly without wavering to the hope of God, to the hope that he has in our future. And the reason the Bible is telling us this is because it's a hard thing for us to do, and then, and so, how do we do this? It's a hard thing for us to do. Well, we each have to help each other to accomplish this, help each other to hold tight to our faith, hold tight to trusting in God. And how do we encourage one another to do this? Well, we don't neglect. It says, let us not neglect our meeting together.
right, yeah.
One way we're meeting together right now, even though I think, the best way to do that, one of the biggest ways, is to get with a group of girls or something like that. But one way we're doing that right now is by listening to this podcast, being a part of a community where we're encouraging one another through the internet,
Yeah.
But
use
there's
what's in your hands.
What?
Yeah, use what's in your hands. You got to use what's in your hands. It's so important.
Absolutely. So one thing, at least for me, that I found can be hard about encouraging one another, spurring each other on, uplifting one another, is that sometimes, honestly, being completely transparent, sometimes jealousy creeps in and kind of makes me not want to encourage other people, because I may look at them and say, wow, I kind of don't want them to do well, because I want other people to see me, like they're being seen. Have you
Yeah.
ever struggled with that at all? And could you help us if someone like me may be having a hard time with that? How can we find ways to overcome?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's not even just you. It's me, it's you, it's everybody. I feel like everybody deals with that to some extent. I remember, well, let's get the definition of like jealousy and then the definition of envy out of the way, right? So jealousy is the need to feel like you're protecting what's yours or what you think is yours, right? And then envy is more like trying to covet what somebody else has. So very, very big difference. But I remember being little, and it was probably like my first encounter with jealousy. And it wasn't even with anybody directly yet, which just tells you how human like we are when it comes to wanting things or owning things, right? But I remember my mom very, very gently, so shy, believe it or not, I was so shy and didn't like to sing in front of people. And I know you're thinking like, who is this person?
Yeah.
I know. This person that sings in front of people. I know. My mom will tell you though. She used to have to, I was just asking her the other day because Mother's Day was the other day. Mom, what was I like when I was little? And she's like, oh, you were very sweet, but I always had to try to get you like, come on, Eleena, like, come on, you can do stuff. Like, you can, like, just trying to pull me out of my comfort zone to do it. It's just so shy. And I remember one time, maybe when I was middle school, and she was like, hey, you don't have to sing and do any of that stuff. But just so you know, God will find somebody else to do it if you don't want to do it. And I just remember I was young at the time, and I just remember feeling like I don't want anybody else to do it. I want to do it.
Yes.
Like that I don't know, that jealousy for somebody that I didn't even know that could be filling in the place of the thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I do feel like that was my first time experiencing some type of ownership or wanting to capture something on my own with me doing it. So golly, yeah, of course we all experience jealousy. I think it becomes a problem though when we allow that feeling to be exported through our actions, through our words, through our attitude, or through the, like what you were talking about, are we holding back because we don't want to bless the other person in a certain way, or are we wanting to make sure that they don't get opportunities, or we want to be the one that, our name is on it and we want to be the ones. So I think it really is a control thing that, again, that's just a human condition to want to control outcomes of things. But man, I just feel like in my experience with women, because we are beautiful creatures, women, anytime that I've ever approached a situation with humility first and put relationship first to make things united, I've never come up on the short end of the stick. Like God's always blessed that type of submission. And I don't even know if you remember. So golly, I think back on, it's so weird to like talk about, I feel like, yourself for different things, but I just remember a time that for me that caught me off guard, where you really had to follow the Holy Spirit's prompting of, okay, Lord, I'm put in this weird situation, or I have an opportunity here. I think as human beings, you are really actually known by the things that you do, even if you don't need to do them, but because you do them anyways. It says a lot about your character. And there's this situation which you were actually here for Color Conference. I don't know if you remember.
Probably. I remember a lot about Color Conference. It was,
oh man.
It was wild.
Well, I just so our friend Mide had gotten a part for a singing part in a production, and I had tried out for the same position. Everybody did, I think, at that time, and I didn't get it, and I was like, awesome, it's no big deal. Was so able to just champion on the people that were doing it. We're at practice, and are you recalling this whole thing? No.
Well,
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out which thing it was for, and you're welcome to be totally transparent, because I'll be totally transparent about I'll share my jealousy part about color conference too, and maybe we'll feel the same. I don't know, or you can share whatever you want to share, but I have no shame. So
isn't it so ironic though? I feel like that was the thing for me is like color conference is Hillsong sisterhood event, women's event, all about sisterhood, all about championing each other on. And then you have these opportunities like the enemy likes us to have to just swoop in and, oh man, taint what God has put and make it not good. And so I just remember, long story short, there was just a moment where I had come into a practice and they were practicing the song, and she was supposed to come in on her part. She wasn't coming in on her part. And I'm thinking in my head, oh, maybe she's just like forgetting that she needs to come in like on her part. Like, and I even was like, are you good? Are you okay? And then only to come to realize that they had actually given me the part that she had auditioned for and got, and they gave it to me. And so and that was the first time that I was hearing about it, was in this room, in practice with everybody in the room. That was the moment that I was told that was happening. And I just remember turning to her and saying, are you okay? Like, almost like my heart was broken. Like, this isn't what was planned before. And I think she was just as shocked as I was of the whole thing. And I just felt terrible about it. And the leaders at the time had apologized to me and were just like, hey, we're sorry, we should have told you beforehand. And I don't even know if it would have made a difference, to be honest, if they had told me beforehand. Maybe it was good to just get the authentic reaction. But I just remember was it Forever 21? I can't remember what I was getting there, but I had seen these t-shirts that said sisterhood on them. And I just felt like the Holy Spirit was like, okay, yeah, you should get one for her and get one for you. And I just went up to her. I don't even know if you know this or if she talked to you about it afterwards, because I know you guys were really close friends, but I just went up to her at the dress rehearsal, which is probably like 2 days before we actually did the whole production. But I just, I like looked at her and I gave her this shirt and I just said, hey, like, I can't go up there on that platform and sing as confidently as I want to, the conviction having this here. Can I get your blessing to go out and do that and do it well? And like almost handing her that shirt as if it can be a peace offering, but in some cases, in this case, it totally was. It was my way. So, and I just remember her just saying very meekly, because what do? You know, you can only control what your actions are. But I think she was just very sweet about it, and just said, yeah, that's okay. And I was just that, but I just know I felt like that was the conviction of the Holy Spirit on my end, to just be honoring in a scenario that was just not ideal. And so I don't know. I think that there's lots of opportunities. I grew up with there's 5 girls in my family, including myself. So I just remember my mom always being, just on the topic of jealousy. My mom grew up with a lot of girls in her family. She also married into a family that was huge as well. I think there was like 9 kids on my dad's side of the family. And she just always growing up was, hey, you're happy for those people and you never compete with your sisters, because I think she saw so much of that in her experience that she was just like, no. And I remember being in middle school as well, and my older sister had told me, I think I was just frustrated, and when you're younger, and even when you're an adult, this happens to me even now. But when you're frustrated and you can't place why you're frustrated, and then it takes some other person coming in, swooping in and giving you some wisdom to say, hey, this is this is what you're feeling and this is why you're feeling that. But I just remember the first time coming home and just being frustrated because I didn't understand why somebody in my class wanted to do the same exact things that I was doing. Like, why wouldn't they come up with their own stuff? Or why wouldn't they figure out like a way to do like their hair or what have you? And I just remember my older sister and all the wisdom that she had at probably when she was like, 12, 13 years old, telling me, little me, hey, it's okay. Like, they just think that what you came up with is really a good idea, so much so that they wanted to do it themselves. And that's a compliment. And I just remember being like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, And then you just grow up and you learn that, oh my gosh, what's new under the sun? Nothing, There's just so much, but I think what makes it unique is it's you, like the voice, the fluctuation, and the way that you say things, or the way that you're passionate about certain things, the way that your eyes twinkle when you're talking about something that you're loving and experiencing. So I think that's what makes it different. And you can't discount. I think when you discredit that, you discredit the Holy Spirit working within you, and you discredit the spirit that God gave you specifically in this time, in this year, in this age, So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but golly, for sure, I experience jealousy, and I think I'm very quick to nip in the butt. Like, you just kind of have to say, okay, nope, we're not doing that. And actually, because when you do something wrong and then you give yourself like a precursor, like you have to do these 3 things in order to like get on the good side again. So for instance, if I ever talk bad about myself, I have to take a cold shower. That's like what my husband and I decided that I have to do. So I think it's almost like that. Like, if I feel like I've even thought about somebody in a negative way, or I found myself jealous of them, I'd say, I have to go do 3 nice things for them this week. Or how can I encourage them this week? Or I'm going to actually pray, because you can't pray for somebody that you're actually jealous of, and you can't utter one thing from your lips and then the next moment, curse somebody at the same time. It's just not possible. So I think definitely praying for the people that you feel like you have animosity towards or jealousy towards, is probably the thing that stings the most, that helps the most. So yeah.
That's so good. I wanted to share this quote with you guys, but then I realized it was so long. And I'm gonna talk about it in just one second. But first, I do have to say, color conference. Here's my color conference confession. That should be a thing. Color conference confessions.
Yeah.
Speaking of jealousy, so I got to be in. This was, I think, the year before. Because there were 2, right? So the year before, I got to be in this really fun choir kind of moment. There were like 6 of us, so we're in this choir, and it was awesome, and we all got to sing the song together. But I remember being so jealous. You get to be in a thing, you should be happy, you're doing a fun thing. But I remember I was so jealous of, I think you were in this, in the opening. Were you in the opening number with the 80s?
Yes. Yeah.
Were you in that? Okay, so I was like so jealous because I'm a party girl at heart. Okay, so the choir, even though it was fun, it did not appeal to me because it was not the party moment. And y'all were up there with your crazy hair, and I was like, I just want to wear crazy hair.
Oh man, it took hours to get out, so maybe
not.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. It did take a long time to get out. So
funny.
Yeah. Oh,
okay,
gosh.
so that was my confession. I got over it pretty quickly, but I do remember being like, look at those girls with their fun hair, and it's fine. I've got regular people hair.
I will send you a wig. We'll recreate the scene, and we'll do it. We'll wear gloves and everything.
We can make like an Instagram reel or something of us trying to do this. There was like a dance or something.
I will go find those gloves, and we will do it. 100%.
I'm so dead. That would be hilarious. Anyways, okay, so here's all of this talking about jealousy. I really struggled for a while with, well, really just encouraging other people. If I was frustrated with a person, I had trouble finding ways to move forward with people, which may make me sound like a terrible person. That's okay. But one thing that really literally changed my life was reading this book called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. And I thought, like I said, I thought I was going to read this whole little quote, and then I realized it's just like a mouthful and it's so much, and you guys are going to not want to hear me say the whole thing out loud. Pinky promise. So I'm going to link this quote. I'm going to link a picture of this quote in the show notes, and you guys can check it out because it really did change my life, like in a huge way. But basically the idea of this quote is this. C.S. Lewis writes about the idea of charity. And that's a word that we don't use a lot today, is charity, or sometimes we may think of charity as maybe giving a little money to people like on Christmas, or taking something to Goodwill, or helping at a food bank, something like that. But really the idea of charity is this. It is thinking of every person as a being created by God, and framing every person in that light. So just like you look at yourself as a whole person, we need to look at other people as whole people as well. And that may be like, duh, but think about for a minute when you feel jealous of someone. When you look at that person, what do you usually see? You usually see or think about the reason why you're jealous of them, or the thing that they have that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking at them as the person created by God. You're looking at them as the thing that you want. And so this idea of charity that he puts forward, if you're struggling with practicing that, he says, C.S. Lewis, his suggestion is to go ahead and start acting towards a person as if you like them, as if you see them as a whole person, before you even feel like they are worthy of that. Because the fact is, your feelings are fake. We should hashtag that. Your feelings are fake most of the time. Sometimes they're real. Sometimes they're real, and you gotta be able to figure out the difference. But a lot of the time, your feelings should not be the thing determining all of your actions, right? The Bible should be the thing determining all of your actions. God's truth should be the thing determining all of your actions. And so C.S. Lewis's suggestion is go ahead and start acting towards a person like you want to feel towards a person. So if you're feeling frustrated with a person, go find them. Don't be weird. Okay? But just be nice to them. Be cordial. If you see them and you may be frustrated with them, but maybe they're looking super cute, go tell them that they look super cute. And as you continue to, it's like muscle memory. As you act like you like a person, you will begin to feel like you like a person. And I think some people may say, well, Kenzie, isn't that being fake? No, it's not being fake. It's is me is me going to the gym when I can't lift more than 5 pounds in a curl, was that fake? Because I really, when I started a few months ago, I started going to the gym. When I started a few months ago, that really was me. And it was like, am I really?
No, that's
pretending.
Yeah, that's real life. It might not look pretty, but it's real.
But it's real. But the fact is, no, like it's real. It's me really going to the gym. It's really me learning, building that muscle. And so it's the same thing in our daily lives. It's not being fake when you're acting different than your feelings. It's you building a muscle of kindness, of grace, of truth, of charity. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh my
that's
gosh.
what I would encourage you with, just when it comes to struggling with jealousy. And we don't all get it perfect, but we need to try.
I feel like too, man, how many times do we speak out of, oh my gosh, I get hangry all the time.
Oh my gosh,
And
all
the time. Like if I haven't, and noticeably, and I think this is the most convicting thing, because when you're married, you have somebody that's accountability 24/7, even if you don't want them to be your accountability. Lord help you, because they are. But and then in counting, like, let's not discount that we are women. We have this thing that comes once a month that we have no control over, or maybe we, I don't know, some of us do, depending on what we take or what have you, but whatever your circumstance might be. But we have to, I mean, we find ourselves in these, predicaments where we say things that we wouldn't normally say, and we act certain ways that we would normally act, and our hormones are all over the place. So I think too, just oh my gosh, be mindful. We need to be mindful of where is the place where all these things are being exported from. Is it coming from a spirit that's been filled, or is it coming from a spirit that's maybe just needing, some avocado toast? I don't know. Or so I think it's, or maybe you need sleep. My goodness. Like maybe you just need some time away to just regather yourself, and then come back fresh and say, wow, I can't even believe I was acting this way or thinking this way towards this person. Because usually, man, give me a good sleep and some avocado toast or a pizza, man, and I'll compliment you all day long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like that, it's like, what is it? The Snickers commercial where they're like, you're not you if you're hungry.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Okay. So moving on from, jealousy and that type of thing, putting that aside, what are some practical tips you might have for us for, just like celebrating others? What are some ways that we can do that?
I would say first and foremost, you can't celebrate others until you've celebrated yourself and the person that God's created you to be. So to know who you are in Christ, to not even just read it once, but man, you just got to get that in your spirit. Like you're a child of God, saved by grace through faith, a conqueror, and somebody that God delights over. And man, he knows the hairs on your head and created you in the womb before you even were born or a thought. That's how immaculate you are. Like to know that you are precious, you're gold, you're jewels to somebody, and that's God, and that will never ever fade, no matter what the world ever says about you. Like to value yourself. And I think when you come to that place first, when you know who you are, then you can actually be able to speak life into other people, and then just realize, if you were ever having an off day, let me go back to the drawing board. Let me go back to ground zero and remind my spirit who I am, because that's actually who I am, and it's actually who the person next to me is too. Like the Proverbs 31 woman is actually all of us, which is, man, if you read that scripture, who is this beautiful woman that wakes up before dawn and spends time with God, and loves her family and her friends, and devotes her life to the cause, and all those different things. It's actually all of us do that. So I'd say, got to know what you are to be able to call out the gold and what other people are. Another thing would probably be kind of like what you were saying too. Like if you can't if you can't get to that place where you are able to speak life into other people, go out of your way to write out like a few things that person is really gifted in, and actually go to them and tell them, hey, you're really good at this, and I just want to let you know I admire that about you. And know that when you do that, it doesn't take away from your worth and your value, Another one would be, goodness, probably, I always look at opportunities to relate with women by just telling them, oh my gosh, I just really, really like your hair. And actually, I really wish I had hair like yours. You know? I feel like that's the case with everybody. Everybody wants everybody else's hair. But I mean, mine specifically, I'm like, hey, here we go with straight on the top. And then maybe we have curly hair at the bottom. Like, make your mind and let's be on the same page. But I would say having those relatable conversations with them. If it gets to the point where you feel like, man, I just cannot wrap my mind around it, and have those conversations with them. I've had great conversations with somebody where I've just almost shook hands with them with my weak hand and not my strong hand, if you know what I mean. I think you have to give vulnerability to get it. And I've had some beautiful experiences where I've done that and just said, hey, like, I'm actually not good at this thing. And then them being like, oh my gosh, I think you're the most beautiful person. I'm like, wait, I think you're the most beautiful person. And then it's just this like really beautiful union of camaraderie and sisterhood of being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we were doing that. And like, why do we put ourselves through that in the first place? Like, we know better. And yeah, so I think that's probably, I would say, talk to them too, if you need to, if it gets to that point where you gotta say it, otherwise it'll just fester. Have an accountability partner maybe too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so one last thing before we finish with this conversation. Do you remember any specific times when you got to celebrate other girls, or maybe where other girls have celebrated you, and I don't know, it's just really stood out to you? I myself, when I like to celebrate people, I literally pop confetti. Like, that's kind of my thing. It's cool. I love confetti. Anyway, do you have any specific moments that you remember of celebration happening?
Oh gosh. Well, I can just tell you the most recent one. So, I didn't even think about this as probably like a great example. Just talking about what you were talking about, celebrating women that you're just like, well, they weren't the nicest to me, but here you go. Let me just bless you beyond, what I was given. When you give, you weren't given is probably the biggest thing. But I went out of my way. I'm a coordinator, so I went out of my way to go ahead and get and celebrate a bride, and got all of her bridesmaids together to go ahead and get her this fringe leather white jacket that said Hitched on it. And we all chipped in, and I chipped in to get it for her, and we gave it to her on her wedding day. Like, I think it's those moments where it's like, yeah, like, who the heck cares what you think at that point? Like, that day is just theirs to celebrate them. And yeah, I would say I do that all the time for wedding days in general, because I don't get that back. You don't ever get that back.
Well, that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing your story on the podcast today, talking about celebrating girls. This has been a really awesome conversation. For me personally, I feel really excited to just go out. Like I said, I'm a confetti popper, so I'm excited to just go out and start popping confetti all over the place and celebrating people. But thanks for sharing your thoughts. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's so much fun.
We're going to move on to our last part of the podcast. This is a tradition on Church Girl Gang podcast, and it's what we like to call something fun. And so, speaking of celebrating, we are going to take a minute and celebrate together. And just a reminder that if you have something fun, if you have something that you want us to celebrate here on the podcast together, I want you to share those with us so that we can share them on the podcast and get that out to everyone. So everyone can celebrate with you and we can put this into practice. The way you can do that is by leaving it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, you can slide into my DMs anytime, girl. Share it there. Share it on Church Girl Gang Facebook page or Instagram. Really anywhere. We're always checking those things so that we can gather up your something funs. But today we're going to hear from Eleena. So Eleena, what is your something fun? What can we celebrate with you?
Oh my gosh. We just moved downtown, which is like this big thing for us because we've only had, this is our second place that we've lived in being married life. So it has a pool, and it's like a pool top with like nice skyline. You can see the whole downtown area, and
Yeah.
there's barbecue grills up there, and a lounging like tanning area, and they have a jacuzzi up there. But it's just so magical and stunning. And we have these like 15-foot ceiling like walls with windows all over the place in our apartment. I'm actually these are actually all closed, but behind me. But yeah, it's probably like the biggest like excitement thing. We're going to be doing lots of creative entrepreneurial stuff here. So yeah.
Woohoo! I hope that you guys were clapping along with me at home. But that is so awesome. I hope I wasn't the only one. I hope we celebrated together just then. Put it into practice. That is so exciting and so fun. And I can't wait to come over and try out the jacuzzi.
Yes.
Because yes,
maybe we can get like a real tan, like not a fake tan. If it won't affect your, skin, no blemishes. You'll just be good on the deck, sprawled out. We can veg out.
That would be perfect. That would be perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone who was listening to the podcast today. We love to hear from you. And because we love to hear from you, do not forget to say hello in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a review as well if you're listening on a podcasting platform, and give us 5 stars. And again, the reason that we want to do that is because it really does help us get this podcast into more girls' ears so that they can be encouraged and uplifted and a part of our church girl gang community. You can find me on any social media platform. Just search at Kenzie Carisse, and all of the wonderful businesses that Eleena is a part of, that her husband is a part of. We're going to link those down below, so don't forget to check that out. Check out everything else that's going on in the show notes. You're not going to want to miss the party that continues down there. So anyway, check it out. And thanks so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you soon, church girl.